Our first podcast, we're giving it a shot today. My name is Nick. Got Victor here.
Yep.
Getting on today to talk about E3 2019, just happened this weekend, and we got some exciting news. So we're going to kind of roll into it, give our opinions, talk about what happened, and let's just get right into it. Just so you have a background on me, I've been gaming for like 2 decades now. Right now I got a PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, Nintendo Switch. So obviously I had a good time this year for E3. Go ahead, Victor.
Yeah, I got a PS4 Pro, Xbox, all the Xboxes, PC gaming, and also Oculus VR system.
All right, awesome. So let's just go into what happened this E3. Just briefly, we had a press conference from Microsoft, Bethesda, Square Enix, Ubisoft, and Nintendo. We were missing Sony this year, but that's okay. We still got a lot of information anyway. Going over it just real quick, we saw some good stuff from Microsoft. We had Microsoft showed off a little bit from Project Scarlet, their next generation Xbox. We had Bethesda show off
Fallout 76, a huge announcement for Fallout 76.
Right, that was great, kind of surprising. They also showed off some new games. We got to see Youngblood, finally, some stuff from Doom Eternal, which I know a lot of people are excited about. Square gave us the release date for Final Fantasy VII, which I would bet almost every dollar that I have is going to be pushed. We're also looking at a release date with Marvel's Avengers Game, but that's exciting too. Got to see a little gameplay from that as well. Ubisoft came out, showed off a new Watch Dogs game. Watch Dog Legion. They got, I don't know if it's a new Rainbow Six with Quarantine, but we'll talk about that. So you got something for Rainbow Six, those of you who like that. We're also looking from Nintendo. 2 really big things from Nintendo. We had Breath of the Wild sequel is in development. They went ahead and announced that, showed a small teaser so that we could get riled up for the next several years while they work on that. And they showed us that Animal Crossing is coming 2020 instead of this year because they hate everybody, but they want to make sure the game turns out good. So let's talk about how we feel for the Microsoft conference, get into a little bit more. They announced Project Scorpio in 2016. The Xbox One came out 2017.
Yep.
They're kind of doing the same thing this year with Project Scarlet, showing us in 2019. We didn't really get to see anything about it other than a couple of specs.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like the PlayStation 5. And it's coming holiday 2020. How do you feel about it? Are you excited? Do you think that it's not enough?
I mean, I'm super excited for it. I mean, they're saying it's up to 4 times more powerful than the X.
Right.
Which is kind of, I don't know, it seems a little unrealistic to me personally, just because the X was so much more powerful than the PS4 Pro. But I mean, hey, Microsoft, they're kind of doubling up on it. They're going back to the roots, focusing on quality of the console rather than putting a TV in there, having it replace your TV box with the.
That's a really good point.
One, yeah.
I mean, I think it's important now that a console has some of those streaming aspects, but like the way that the Xbox One was made was too centered around being that main device for your TV, almost as if it's like the fucking cable box.
Yeah, literally.
So I'm glad that they got rid of that aspect of it, or at least it kind of seems so. I don't believe. I 100% agree with you. It is not like if you heard that it's going to be 4 times more powerful and you're under the impression that this is going to be incredible and amazing and going to blow the Xbox One X out of the water, you're out of your mind. I think PlayStation 5 included in this because they look very similar to each other, at least on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That we're going to see probably a lot of 4K gaming, 60 frames a second.
Oh, definitely.
They said 8K capable. I like, I'm sure they say that, but of course they tout that kind of stuff. I feel like that's probably the equivalent of saying, well, the Nintendo 64 can play games in 1080p.
Yeah.
Maybe if you stretched it far enough. So I kind of think that that's what they're going with there. Maybe it just streaming content. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I think 8K content's way out there in the future, but I mean,
I think like 1080p to me is perfect. 1080p 60 frames a second. We don't even have that with the current console generation, so for them to tout 8K gaming is just absolute nonsense.
To the uneducated consumer, everyone's like, the higher the K, the better it is.
Right, exactly. So I guess, I mean, for those of you that are interested in 8K, then maybe you're going to have something here. I really still think it's going to be 4K.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see the box. They didn't give a concrete release date other than holiday 2020. We don't have a price.
Yeah.
All that stuff I'm intrigued by. I want to know how big it is, like how big of a console it is, how much room it's going to take. I don't know if they announced backwards compatibility.
I know they're very backwards compatible, so there's not a doubt in my mind.
I assume that there is.
That it's,
My biggest curiosity with this, like more than anything, is it going to play the current generation games? Like, can I just put an Xbox One game in it, and will it play it and like automatically make it look better? Because I know sorry to cut you off.
No,
with the
ahead,
PlayStation 4, so like the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One to the Xbox One X, there are a lot of these like the texture packs or like the 4K packs, so it downloads, more game to your hard drive, but it makes it look better on the, better consoles, the Pro and the X. So I'm wondering if it's going to be maybe like a similar thing with some of these games, like maybe I'm just going to use Red Dead Redemption 2 as an example. Maybe they make like a really good 4K texture pack or like a 60 frame per second capability for the Xbox One. The Xbox Scarlet.
Yeah,
Too
Project
much
Scarlet,
nonsense with the names, but Project Scarlet and like PS5, maybe they'll have like a capability for the frame rate to be unlocked or something. I'm wondering if that's going to be the case. Like that would be exciting.
I mean, honestly, they're kind of doubling down in cloud gaming. I feel like they're kind of making things more streamlined, which we'll get to a little later, but. I think personally, when they launch the new console, it's going to still be backwards compatible with all that games, because I think they pride themselves on the compatibility of their older generation games with the 360,
right, for sure.
The One, the One X, and kind of what they did with the One and the One X. They're all the same kind of games for the most part.
It's almost like if you have an Xbox game, it can go on an Xbox.
Basically,
deal, which is good.
And I mean, as far as texture packs, we all know how updates are with games nowadays. 50 gigabyte uploads every other day, literally.
I mean, seriously, that's true. You're usually replacing files, and a lot of the games on my consoles are 50 to 70 gigabytes. It's crazy. So I highly expect that as well. That's a fear for the next generation I have. But we're talking about E3. We'll move into that. Maybe another podcast we can cover that. But yeah, about the cloud gaming, what you were talking about. What is it? What do they have? Project X Cloud?
Yeah, Project X Cloud. So I guess from what we know so far, Project X Cloud is kind of like their like Stadia competition or something. Yeah. I know when they launched their when they were gonna launch the X. Actually, I'm sorry. I think it was the Xbox One S. When they're going to launch that, they were going to do a discless version, I think, or can't remember off the top of my head. But I know they had a lot of pushback when they wanted to do a streaming-only console.
Right.
No discs. Places like GameStop, I'm sure, were super against it, because that's kind of how they get,
right,
that's
exactly.
A market
That's
cut off their thing.
That's exactly
there.
how they do their business.
But I think now that cloud gaming and like downloads are kind of becoming more proactive in our ecosystem, I honestly really think we're coming into like a war when it comes to these streaming platforms. We've got Stadia, we've got other Microsoft, and we got other gaming companies as well.
PlayStation does it to an extent. It's funny. I heard that there was like a lot of users for it. PlayStation Now, which it gets ragged on constantly, but PlayStation Now. The Project X Cloud is going to have that streaming gaming. I don't know if they have anything other than that, because I don't really stream games. I don't even use PlayStation Now. I just know of it. But yeah, there's a lot of game streaming going on. I'm not excited. Personally, I'm not excited for that kind of stuff, so I don't really dive too much into it. The reason I'm not excited is because I want that power under the hood on the desk. I like the idea of having the Xbox One X, having the power of that system in my own home, which is kind of cool though, because they talked about how your Xbox in your home can be like a mini server for you.
And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Huge thing with online gaming. Lag, that latency, it's a game killer,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, for sure. That's the biggest fear that everybody had. Anytime there's discussion about this streaming of games, the first thing to pop up is lag. Like
Yeah.
the first discussion of like, well, is it going to lag? And that's the most irritating thing. Even if it's milliseconds, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
Imagine,
it really does, yeah.
like I don't play a lot of first-person shooters, or too many online games. But when I do play an online game, if I had a hint of lag and somebody else didn't, I already suck. So it would be so much worse. And like you've seen instances where like all of a sudden it lags for a second because of
Yeah.
your internet connection, or maybe the servers aren't perfect. And when that happens, you're like, I'm dead. I feel like it happens.
It ruins the
And
experience, you know?
exactly. And
It's
if
like
you're
everyone's
dealing
not on
with
a level
that
playing field.
constantly, if you're constantly dealing with that, it'll be beyond suckage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they have to show. If it is lagless, then maybe it's something to look into. But I'm more for like the in-home console anyway, so I'm not too torn about it if it's not awesome.
So yeah, in that aspect, hopefully Microsoft pushes through with its 4 times more, powerful console. We'll still get that power under the hood with the addition of, cloud gaming if we wanted to go that route.
Right. So like you have extra options. I heard Phil Spencer talking about that in an interview with, I want to say it was Engadget. I could be wrong. But he had an interview, and I'm sure that he said this to multiple people, but that he wants there to be options for the gamers of the Xbox community, so that you have these options of, just streaming games, or you have the options of playing games on hardware on your desk, or, you can use the, another thing he talked about, which I'm really curious to see, but maybe we can do this discussion later so it doesn't bleed into the E3 talk too much, but is how long is the Xbox One X going to have support? And I'm really curious about that, because it's the most powerful console we have today, obviously going to be overshadowed by Project Scarlet and the presumably the PS5. So, where is that going to let it stand? Is it going to be supported just as long as the other Xbox Ones? Is it going to be supported for a slightly longer time frame?
It's like they're blending markets, You got people who bought the One, people who wanted the One S to, do UHD playback.
Right.
Then you got the X launched, It's kind of like, and it's all using the same type of game discs with these software updates to kind of boost the visuals up a bit. But essentially, it's all the same ecosystem. You got people. Where do I buy in? Where do I buy in to get my most bang for my buck?
Right, exactly. That's a really good question too. Is the X still going to exist when Scarlet comes out? Like, these are good questions, and I don't really think we have a ton of answers. I think they asked him about that as well, and his answer was kind of just like, we don't know yet. Like, we don't have time frames in our head and things like that, which totally makes sense. PS3 and Xbox 360 had a really long life. Past, well into the PS4 and Xbox One generation, so I kind of expect the same thing. But
and for the Project Scarlet, they actually they promised 120 frames per second, which is
and
which
some
is huge.
capability would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is just me kind of putting my speculation out there, but I would love Microsoft, if you're listening, to put a VR capability in the new Xbox.
I've heard that a lot in terms of like, they spoke about HoloLens when PlayStation had PlayStation VR, and I'm so curious to see like if they bring it back, if HoloLens is even still a thing. Like, I never hear about it anymore, and I'm wondering if they're going to make like a dedicated VR. I think one of the biggest problems with Microsoft is they rely on third party a little bit, and sometimes you can't do that with like something like VR. If you want a mainstream good VR and like you want good VR games on your system, you have to make the VR. Just like Sony did with PSVR. The reason why it's so successful is because Sony made PSVR. It's specific for the PlayStation. It's Sony branded. First of all, consumers are going to be more apt to look at it and use it, and then companies are going to be more apt to put games on it. But kind of breaking away from that, I'm also excited. I don't think they spoke about it at E3, but I'm also excited with Sony's partnership with Microsoft in terms of their like cloud-based gaming and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so interesting, and it's like the first time we've ever seen this happen with them. So I'm super curious to see more. I want to see like what it leads to. It's obvious that they're teaming up to combat Google, and I think that like in all seriousness, Google needs to be super worried, because as big as they are and as awesome as they can be with stuff, Google drops products like projects and stuff like it's hot. They will drop that thing so fast if it doesn't do super well. I feel like.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
they might try to hold on to it. I don't really know, but they're going up against Sony and Microsoft together. They're in for a big ass fight. Like that is not going to go.
Oh yeah.
The way that Google think. I don't think they ever expected Sony and Microsoft to team up against them.
No, not at all. And I know that they named it Project Azure. I think
Right.
that's saying right. Yeah. So I mean, never ever ever would we have ever thought that Sony and Microsoft would team up for something like this.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
But I feel like they know what's coming. Google is a huge company, huge amount of resources. They
Yep,
might not be
absolutely.
well biased in the gaming area, but
Right.
you know they have the resources to majorly change the
If
market.
they want
you
to
know?
put as much money as they can into this project, they're gonna make something that performs well.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think Sony and Microsoft have kind of come together to create this infrastructure together. I mean, who knows what it means for the future, but it's pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, since we didn't hear a ton about that, we may as well move on to the next, the releases that we heard about. From
Yeah,
Microsoft.
definitely.
So first, since we're still on Project Scarlet a little bit, Halo Infinite
Yes,
announced for 2020 holiday, which almost sucks in a sense because it's so far away. We only saw a CG trailer. Granted, I liked it. A lot of people are saying it looks more horror-esque, which is kind of cool. More like maybe more thriller might be the better way to put it.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I think it looks good. It might be the first game to get me back into Halo. I want to play all the games for the Master Chief Collection and Halo 5. I've only played 2 and 3, but I loved them.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's going to be on Project Scarlet. I assume it's going to be on
Launch,
the other
I think.
Xboxes as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think it's a launch title for them.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get their old fan base back. You know,
Right.
they lured us in with 1, 2, 3. Once you started getting past there a little bit, I feel like the games with time, different studio took over, different ways of formatting the
343's been
game.
doing what they can. People miss Bungie.
Yeah, Bungie.
Hey,
Man.
you miss Bungie, but then I don't care for the project that they're working on now, Destiny. It's all right, but it's no Halo. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. I could
Yeah.
tell, obviously, when they showcased it last year, you could tell that it was literally just hit development
Yeah.
because all they showed was like in-game engine stuff, like rhinos running through a field and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was super weird, and like there was like no. I almost felt like there was nothing inherently Halo in that trailer except for them literally saying, "This is a Halo game." But this
That's
time
the
we
magic
actually got to
word
see
right there,
Chief,
Halo.
and that was cool. Yeah, that's pretty exciting to me. I'm looking forward to Gears of War 5, which they also showcased a little bit more of. We know that it's coming out in September now.
Yeah,
I'm excited for
yeah.
that.
Huge one for me. Fantasy Star.
Fantasy Star Online.
Super
Yeah.
juiced. They're bringing it back.
Yeah.
Loved it on the 360.
Oh,
When they shut
Fantasy
the-
yeah, Online 2.
Yeah, online too. Yeah, sorry. When they shut the servers down, on
Free-to-play
the first
title,
one, man,
nice.
it hurt me. It hurt me bad.
I'm
But-
sure a lot of people feel that way. I'm sure a lot of people are excited for it. Some of these things are like these sleeper hits that like not everybody knows about, but the people that do know about it just love it, and it's still widely popular, just not as discussed. So
Yeah,
I think
and-
that's one of those things.
And it's free to play this
Yeah.
time, so no subscription. North America, it's only North America,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a step in the right direction. Who
Right.
knows? They might do free to play over the globe. You never
Yeah.
know, but
They very well can. That's exciting. And I don't know. I mean, we got to talk about it another time, but there's so much free to play stuff
There
coming
is.
out. Speaking of free to play, kind of, what did you think when they showcased more content for Borderlands 2? It's kind of an offshoot. I just bring it up because we got Borderlands 3 coming up, which I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people are just stoked for.
Definitely. I mean, the studio behind Borderlands. I mean, they didn't give up on their project. I have them on Facebook, and they're constantly giving out these keys. Still giving out keys. Still
I'm sure
supporting it.
Borderlands 2 is still highly popular, but it's just shocking. It's shocking to me that they're making content for it. It's obvious to me why it's free is because they're afraid that people may not pay for it. But it's a great way to get people in the door for Borderlands 3.
Exactly, and that they want to they don't want to just bring you into it without knowing what happened before. So
Right,
It's
exactly.
nice that
Yeah.
they took the time for a game that they've already developed. For the people who love the Borderlands story, just to kind of get in, understand the full amount where Borderlands 3 is starting,
Right, exactly. And that's really cool. Let's see. What else we got from the Microsoft conference? You know what? I'm surprised. They didn't have a ton of games to announce. I guess I'm surprised I'm not. Because they bought a bunch of studios over the course of the last year. and maybe a little bit before that too. And the only studio that I think really showcased anything was we had 343. We have the Coalition making the Gears of War game, but we already know those two.
Yep.
And then they showed what Ninja Theory is working on, which they also purchased. And it's that like brawler, almost looks Overwatch-esque type game, where it's like one of those brawler team-based games. Except for like brawler is the niche because there's not a lot of games like that, gun games. I think a lot of people are like associating it, or I guess not associating with, but like comparing it to that game that just totally bombed from Gearbox, the same studio that made Borderlands, I think.
Yeah, Gearbox.
Battleborn, which I was so excited. I remember when it was coming out, I was so excited for that. But a lot of people are comparing it to Battleborn. I'm interested to see it. Personally, so disappointed. They made Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which was this like first player experience, like super amazing first player experience, or one player experience, and it's like really story driven, and it's very like artistic, and it looked beautiful, it played beautifully, and yet this is what they're moving on to after that. Like it's a total like out of left field. Didn't expect it. I kind of expected more stuff like that from them, and so the fact that they're not making it is a disappointment to me. But I mean, this game could be amazing. I'm not super enticed by it since I have Game Pass. I'm checking it out anyway, which is another benefit that Microsoft has. Speaking of which, I don't know, did you have anything to talk about that game? Other than the fact that it exists, I don't have anything to say.
No, not really, no.
But I don't really think we saw anything else. I'm sorry, Ori and the...
it's an Ori sequel.
It's honestly, Ori and the Blind Forest sequel.
Yeah.
I didn't play the first one. I want to play it because it looks super... Like, it looks like a really cool like indie-ish game.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like one of the more polished indie games.
Right. And so that's really, like, that's cool. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. And how many people are seeing this and going, oh my god, it's called Ori and then just screaming
they went crazy when they heard Ori. But I mean, another huge one from the Microsoft conference.
I'm sorry, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps.
Okay,
there we go.
And that's coming in early 2020, which feels far. I think it'll sneak up on us pretty quickly.
I think so, honestly.
But games like that have a really big opportunity because of Game Pass. Yeah. But I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah. Game Pass huge benefit for like I'm actually looking forward to that. I might play the first one and then jump into that one when it comes out on Game Pass.
I've been trying to play the first one. I just never make the time to do it. I go back and play the games like God of War, Senseless. I have so many new games that I'm playing God of War again.
There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah, not enough time in the day. Time to play some God of War. Start something new. But anyways, that like we don't have to talk about it right now, but we have to at some point. Xbox has the Ultimate Game Pass.
Yes.
And it's I think it's $15 a month.
Yep, $15
I don't know if you could sign up yearly. I think it has to be $15 a month. And I know that they're having some promotion right now where you can like switch over your current subscription for $1, and it switches over everything you have right now.
Yep, it turns into Ultimate.
It turns into the
PC
Ultimate
and Xbox.
That's cool. I imagine there's a lot of people that play on the PC as well. But like, how many people are like, I bought an Xbox and a PC? Like, I'm sure there's a niche audience, and I'm still sure it's millions. But like, you have 40 million Xbox users. Some of us don't care, and we just want to play. We don't need Game Pass Ultimate, and I'm worried about it. Because aren't they releasing Game Pass? Like Game Pass Ultimate users are going to get Gears of War early to some extent.
Yeah, I think they get to play it a week early, I believe, or
that's not too bad.
A couple days early or something like that. But I mean, really, they're growing in the computer fan base. You know, they have games for Windows. They've been doing the Play Anywhere, where you can cross-platform play with certain games. They don't have a huge library of it, but I know they're definitely pushing for one huge ecosystem. Whether it's phone, I know right now they got their Windows operating system PCs, and then the Xbox as well. So I mean, I feel like they're all going to tie into something with their xCloud, and there's a lot of things in play. Like honestly, right now I couldn't necessarily tell you where all this stuff is pointing. But I mean, it's all in a direction of simplicity. One ecosystem, one group of people, bringing everyone together, whether you're on a phone, PC, or Xbox.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think that they're doing well, like creating that, like, what is it? Perfecting the ecosystem, probably smoothing it out, making it work really well.
Yeah.
Game Pass is helping that. I don't know, like, I guess there's no harm getting Game Pass Ultimate because $15 a month. That's about what you would pay for a year of Xbox Live Gold and a year of Game Pass anyway. So you may as well
Think
go
of
for
it
the
as like
Ultimate.
another Netflix subscription.
I know so many subscriptions at this point, which there's other subscriptions for the other companies as well, which we'll get to, or at least one of them. Pushing forward,
Yes.
because we're taking a lot of time with Microsoft.
Yes, we
Last thing I want to talk about with Microsoft, and then obviously whatever you have, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes.
They showed more of the game off. They showed off more of the story-based portion of the game, which is really cool.
Which is really that's what I wanted to see.
Right. I think they've shown a significant amount of gameplay already, but they showcased they had the trailer, and then they had Keanu Reeves come in at the end of the trailer. That was pretty much the reaction that everybody had, which was awesome. And first of all, just to clarify, Keanu Reeves is amazing. So it's awesome that he's in the game, and it's not unexpected or anything. Then he comes out and showcases or gives us the release date. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Dude, they could not have played that better.
Yep, absolutely. It was breathtaking.
It was. I was hyperventilating on the floor.
Yeah, I convulsed. I fell over. I was at work. It was just, actually wasn't. That was a Sunday thing. But yeah, it was super awesome. Yeah. They're obviously riding the Keanu Reeves wave.
Yeah, with John Wick just coming out. I mean,
it couldn't have been timed any better.
It really couldn't have.
But yeah, that was exciting too. And Microsoft got to kind of steal E3, I think, in a sense with that. Other than one thing from Nintendo that I think. I mean, I think that's pretty much everything I have for the Microsoft press conference.
I did want to touch on one more thing.
Oh, yeah,
Me personally, I love the medieval type games.
Yeah.
Super juiced when they announced Elden Ring.
Right. Yeah, that does look pretty cool.
New game.
Who is it that's... Oh, yeah, George R.R. Martin is working on it.
From Game of Thrones.
Yep. A lot of people have got to be excited about that. Working with Bandai Namco as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, From Software and Bandai Namco. And From Software makes the Dark Souls games. You know that game's going to be badass.
And you know what?
That game's going to be amazing.
It comes one question. Is the Elder Scrolls series in trouble? I don't know.
That's a really good point. Honestly, they should be thinking about that. Although when we get to the Bethesda,
but I mean,
don't you worry, because Elder Scrolls will come out within the next 10 years, and they'll really show us what an Elder Scrolls game looks like by then.
Oh yeah,
with the same shitty engine they've been using for the last 10 years. 20 years from now, they'll still be rocking that piece of junk.
If it works, why fix it?
But it doesn't. That's the point.
It works.
It's always a joke. There's so many bugs with all the Bethesda games. Anyways,
it's the experience, man.
Speaking about Bethesda. Moving into that, what did you think of their conference?
I don't think they had a ton to show. I don't know. I expected more.
I honestly, maybe if Sony had gone, they could have probably stepped, not done a conference. I don't even know if that's an option for them. They showed us Blades again, which...
I enjoy it. I love it. I have the beta.
I don't know, mobile game, and it's coming to Switch. I'm not a big fan. I want an Elder Scrolls game. Yeah. Right? I don't want Elder Scrolls Blades. I don't want Elder Scrolls watered down to disbelief. Yeah. I want an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah. If any of you have not tried the Elder Scrolls Blades, try it. It is literally it doesn't feel like a phone experience. It's like game console quality graphics on your phone. Like, I don't know. That just might be me, but I am blown away by the visuals.
I might have to check it out, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just not enticed by it. Maybe if there was another, like if they had Elder Scrolls 6 or something, I'd be excited, or like anything to show for that game.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
I hate that they announced it last E3. What the hell's even the point? All they did was show us like a little screensaver.
And it's still in beta. I don't really understand why necessarily, but
we're not going to see Elder Scrolls 6 forever. And I heard that Starfield's going to come first.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to hear more about Starfield. I don't think they gave us much information even last E3, to be honest with you.
No, they just, again, like a splash screen, and then they just said Starfield. Yeah. We know it's next gen, that's all we know. I bet you it comes out 2021.
Yeah.
They didn't show anything about that. Showed us Doom Eternal again, coming out this November, I think. We can confirm that. But
usually they tend to lean towards November.
But we have that coming out. I think, what did they say? Youngblood is coming very soon. Wolfenstein Youngblood. That looks really interesting.
Wolfenstein. That's the game.
Did they have anything else? What else did they have? They talked about 76.
Yeah. Blades. They talked about Blades.
Right. I'm again like I'm
goodness.
curious to see.
See, that's how underwhelming it was. Like,
There's almost nothing to talk about because Bethesda just didn't have very much.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love Bethesda. That's my studio. But you know,
Yeah.
This year, just I don't know. There wasn't much.
There wasn't enough
pizzazz.
to. Yeah, I didn't really care for it either. I
Other
wasn't
than
excited.
the NPCs coming to Fallout 76, you know that was a huge one. You know the biggest thing they focused with on 76 was every player you see is an online player, like an actual player.
Right.
Which kind of enticed it a bit. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like you're not.
It's a good concept.
Yeah, really great concept, but you know, as we all know, you know, if you bought Fallout 76, you know, when it came out or close to release date, you obviously know it came with its fair share of bugs.
Absolutely, yeah. They need to fix that.
Yeah.
They're still working on fixes, but I think they've been doing a better job fixing that than EA has been doing with Anthem. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's worse games out there,
Yeah.
and I think they've been trying with it, but it's obvious that they knew that wasn't ready for launch, and I think they even had the head of the studio or something. Who is it? Todd Howard. Todd Howard
yes.
talked about it. I believe Todd Howard talked about it and said that they knew it wasn't ready in some capacity. And
Yeah.
anyways,
which was a little disappointing. But they're bringing Battle Royale to 76.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't pay
52 player
attention to
Battle
that.
Royale. So that's
Yeah, great. Another Battle Royale title. There's one more on the list.
One more on the list.
For people who don't care about it, like I liked it when Fortnite first came out with it, but then like I couldn't care less, so it doesn't matter to me about that. But
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. Some people like it. If it keeps being profitable, then that's obviously what the market's asking for. But who's to say? I guess we didn't really have much to touch on with Bethesda, so you want to move on to Square Enix?
Yeah,
Anything else?
I did want to mention one small thing. If you're an ESO player, Elder Scrolls Online player,
Right.
they did announce some DLC coming out in the fall, sometime in the fall, which leads to new dungeon content and stuff. So I mean, if you're still in that ecosystem, you know, they're not giving up yet on it. You know, they have Fallout Online, they have Elder Scrolls Online, where they're still working on it a little bit. So I mean,
Right.
hold on.
Oh yeah,
It's
Elder
gonna get
Scrolls
better, yeah.
Online. They got a little bit. What is it? Elsewhere, I think they're coming out with for Elder Scrolls Online. I believe that's the next expansion if it's not already current.
Well, there's one called Dragonhold. The Dragonhold is the one that's coming out in fall.
Oh, okay. So is Elsewhere already out?
I think Elsewhere is already out.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been on top of it too much. But,
It's just but like you said, it's not. This isn't one of those things where it was super enticing. I didn't feel
Yeah.
very enticed to watch some of the stuff in
Yeah.
regards to this, but.
I guess we just move on. Yeah,
We can go into let's go ahead and go into Square Enix, which I think had a killer show. Honestly, I think last year people were saying it was underwhelming. This year they did really well.
Yeah.
We got to see some of the Marvel's Avengers game. I'm not I don't know how much I want to play it, but it looks serviceable.
Yeah.
I think it's going to sell really well just because of the Avengers name. But
Yeah.
if it's a good game as well, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Visuals look okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming out 2020 May, I think. May 2020.
May 2020.
Beta.
Beta's coming to PS4 first.
Oh, beta comes to PS4 first.
Yeah, just to note that.
Square Enix is very PS4 first centric. But yeah, so they showcased that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looked okay. The story seems like it might be all right.
Yeah. Huge plus 4-player online co-op, which is
that
gonna
is
be
pretty
awesome.
cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think they said no season passes and no loot boxes, which
Thank goodness.
I'm so sick of loot boxes. Any company that comes out and says that almost immediately has my money just because I'm so tired of loot boxes. But yeah, the 4-player co-op would be really cool. I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I need to check out more gameplay from that game because it looks
Yeah,
pretty okay.
They didn't really have much, to be honest with you, but I'm sure they're
I mean,
holding out
the
good-
game's still well in development. They got like a year left to go.
Yeah.
I if I had to take a guess, that game is not coming out May 2020. Square Enix is horrible with delaying games. Horrible. So like if it comes out next year, like it'll come out, my guess, it'll come out next year, holiday. I assume that they're going to delay it like 6 months. Speaking of delays, Final Fantasy VII Remake actually was confirmed for release date. They said it's March 2020.
Yeah.
And while I highly doubt that they hit that release date, they did show a lot more of the game. I'm so excited for it. It looks great.
Yeah.
I never played the original Final Fantasy VII, but now I'm super excited to play the remake.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks really, really good, and I'm just stoked.
Yeah.
It was originally set, I think, to be a episodic release, but I noticed that you could, if you pre-order, you're paying $60. So I think that they did away with that. I don't know if they officially said anything. I think they just let it slip by the wayside.
Probably.
But you spend $60, you get that game. I don't know if it's episodic, if there's going to be more than just the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the $60 version that you could pre-order right now.
And I know they're doing some special editions as well.
Right.
Like,
It's expensive as shit.
yeah,
Expensive edition.
$330 first class edition.
Right. It
And
comes
people
with the
will buy
cloud.
it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it comes with a cloud figure, their Kai Arts.
Yeah.
And he's on a motorcycle. So... But anyways, yeah. So they usually do a really expensive special edition on their site. I think for $80 you can get like a limited edition.
Yeah.
With a still case and maybe a handful of goodies.
Yeah.
That game I'm super excited for. I would almost bet no one would take this bet with me, but I would almost bet that game is gonna have it is not coming out in March. I don't care. They are delaying that hands down. That game gets delayed at least for 3 months. I hate to rain on anybody's parade that is excited for it. I'm excited too. I really want it to come out on time. Totally not going to. So while I'm excited, I just don't see it being a possibility that game comes out on time.
I'd like to combat you on that, but honestly, I can't think of any way to combat you on that. You're pretty much on the bar there, yeah.
Right. I just think it's gonna, it is definitely gonna be delayed, but. I'm still excited for it, and whenever it does come out, hopefully March. March. I mean, I got my fingers crossed. I want it to happen, but there's no guarantee.
I mean, but the thing is, if you really need to if you're gonna release a broken game, just make us wait.
Yeah, you know what? And that's true too. Like, if the game's not ready in March, by all means, hold it back a little bit for us. I prefer less than 6 months, but you know what? It is what it is. If you guys have to do that, then by all means, Square Enix. What else did they showcase? I know they showed off a little bit more. That was just so exciting to me. Final Fantasy VIII Remake. Yeah. I'm sorry, remaster, not remake. It's just a remaster. They're just bringing Final Fantasy VIII out to the current generation consoles. It's still gonna look old as shit. It still looks pretty good. Yeah, it's a classic game.
People want that.
Some people do. Yeah, absolutely. So we saw that from them.
Dying Light 2.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. That is exciting. I'm sure tons of people are just stoked for it. Dragon Quest 11 coming to the Nintendo Switch, showing that off.
Huge announcement, yeah.
I know. I think that's like the Ultimate Edition of it, or whatever you would call that, like the Game of the Year edition. It's got all the content.
Yeah.
They had, what else did they have? The Builders 2. They had Dragon's Quest Builders 2. Yeah, that's pretty exciting as well. They don't really have anything else too exciting to discuss, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else that you can think of.
I mean,
nothing that I can think of. I'm sorry, Kingdom Hearts DLC.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts DLC.
You can't forget the Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, you can't forget that. I heard that there's going to be by holiday
it's
coming out.
It's a new game in entirety, correct? Or is it just a DLC?
No, the Kingdom Hearts Remind is going to be.
Okay.
So it's not a new game. I believe it is just DLC, but they're going to have a re-edition of Kingdom Hearts 3 already coming out in the I think in the holiday season this year. I have stumbled all over that so bad. So let's leave Square Enix and move on over to Ubisoft, which I'm gonna start with this. Hate me if you want.
Okay.
I don't think I've played a Ubisoft game probably for the last 5 years. Everything that Ubisoft has released as of late, everything has just not been very I just don't care. But I know what they're releasing. I know a couple of things. Watch Dogs Legion. Yeah. Looking at a new Watch Dogs game. I'm going to tell you, I have no idea why. I don't even know if they know why. I don't even know why they're still making it. Are they contractually obligated with somebody to make this game? Because
honestly, maybe.
Watch Dogs 1 was okay, sold really well because we all expected something great from it, and then they spit in our faces. Not really. It was just okay, and everybody expected it to be great.
But I think one of the biggest plays of this, I guess it's in a post-Brexit dystopian. So the whole stuff's
a lot
going
of people are excited for that.
Yeah,
type of deal.
It kind of plays into what's kind of going on in our current state.
I think it's one of those things where it's people look at it that way, even though it's not. Whereas it's Far Cry 5, everybody's oh, it's gonna be politically charged. It's in a post, It's a post-apocalyptic version of America because of the current administration, and then it literally had nothing to do with that. So we'll just see. Ubisoft has stayed. One thing I do care about with Ubisoft is that they have stayed relatively neutral in terms of political stuff, because I don't care for that in my games, honestly. I'm just in it for the experience of the game. To make a game political is fine. I think that there's room for that in the gaming sphere, but to make every game political is bullshit, because this is escapism. You just want to enjoy a game for what it is, and it can have themes of that. I think is okay, without it directly being exact to this is the current administration's fault. No, please just make us a game. That's my concern. Good game. That's what I'm focused on. But anyways, Legion, it looks okay. I'm still not enticed. I don't think I'm gonna get it. But those who are looking for another Watch Dogs game, be excited. It looks like the biggest, baddest one yet. It looks like they're pulling out all the stops.
Definitely, yeah.
They have a game coming out. I'm sorry, you scrolled down to it. Gods and Monsters, and there's very little on it. Very little.
But it's the team behind Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a great development team. I mean, Assassin's Creed in itself, it's rich in detail and stuff. So
it's interesting. It almost looks like a mobile game, but I don't think it is. I don't know. I do not know. I don't even know if they announced what consoles it's on. So that's how this stuff goes. Anyway, they also have Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That game looks okay. I think it looks more enticing.
Ghost Recon?
No. That game looks enticing. It looks better to me than the other Ghost Recon game, which had come out and was kind of lackluster apparently. What was that one? Wildlands. They've been supporting their games so much. I know they also had something with For Honor. I think it's DLC coming out.
For Honor,
which, holy hell, have they really been dishing out content for that game? It's crazy to me. But that's exciting for those who still play For Honor. That's interesting. I think that, they had John Berthal come out and talk about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which, it's not the same impact of Keanu Reeves talking about 2077, but I think that people probably still really enjoyed it.
Definitely,
It's so interesting how, gaming has become so big that we have these actors coming in.
Collaborating with pop culture, and, it's just...
It's becoming very prominent that this is a much bigger sphere than people expected it to be.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see more video game based, film content in the future. They're already kind of dabbling in it a little bit.
A little bit, and we'll see more of that. I think that's kind of where VR falls in. I feel like it's almost like an experience versus a game.
Yeah, basically, the immersion.
The other thing that they had called Roller Champions looked so damn boring to me. It looks so uninteresting, and what they're talking about the whole time that they're talking about it, they're like, it's as enticing to play as it is to watch, or something like that. They're obviously trying to make some type of esports-esque title that people are going to watch a lot on Twitch. Maybe. I honestly don't know. There's a lot of colors, so that entices a lot of people. If Fortnite is any indication of anything, then that is it. People might like it. I don't think it looks good.
Yeah, I mean...
it's a personal, it's got personally.
A specific... I feel like it's got a specific targeted audience. I mean, me, looking at it, it reminds me of that movie Rollerball. I mean, just off the bat, that just kind of was where my mind went. I mean, it's a cool concept, but I mean, a sports game mixed with racing, it's kind
of
like...
I'm just so not on board for this. I just don't care for it at all. I mean, again, that's just my opinion.
I mean, we'll see, though. I mean, who knows? It might... it's a shot in the dark with something new. Yeah, it might work out in their favor.
It could, very
honestly,
well.
They could use
like I said,
something good.
You really have no idea. This game could come out and be the next Fortnite, and people just love it. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe to the younger crowd.
Right, exactly.
Like Rocket League, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that style-esque game. We saw some Division 2 content. I know that they're making. They're updating it, but they're bringing some content out, and it's going to be free to play from the 13th of June to the 16th of June.
They should have just made it a week, man.
They should have just made it a week. When they were talking about it, he's like, for the week of the 13th to the 16th. I'm like, that's not a week.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. It is what it is. I think there's plenty of content coming out for that. That's exciting.
New raid coming out.
Awesome.
huge, big one. I'm super juiced about. They're making a Division movie.
Oh
with
yeah, I heard about
Netflix.
that. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm wondering how the hell that's going to turn out. Video game movies almost always suck, so let's see if this one turns out okay.
Yeah.
We've been saying that every single video game movie for the history of time.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving right along, Rainbow Six Quarantine. I want to know, is this a new game or is this DLC? I don't even think they said.
It kind of looks like a hybrid. I mean, honestly, it looks like it could be a
It
separate
looks like
thing,
it could be a
sub-game or
DLC
something.
or
Yeah.
its own game.
I mean, it's got zombies and it's got guns, so it's definitely it's something new for them, you know.
Right. People will play it.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
I would
Whatever
play
it is.
Whatever it is, I'm gonna check it out.
By the way, just to mention, if we're wrong about any of this stuff, please understand that as much as we've looked up and as much as we watched about E3, we don't know all of it. So some of the stuff we may be wrong about. They may have very well said that this game is a full game or a DLC. It's just that we haven't seen that information. It could have come out after we've recorded this. So I don't know. Just
Blame
bear
our
that in mind.
jobs.
Blame our incompetence, but overlook it. Anyways, the next thing and probably the last thing for Ubisoft is Uplay Plus, which is going to be their subscription-based like gaming service.
Another one to add to the list.
Another one to add to the list. For the cost of a new game every day, you can enjoy as many services as are provided by all these different companies.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, it's getting to the point where it's a pick and choose situation. This is, again, a future topic that we'll have to talk about in another podcast, so we don't roll too long in this.
It's
But
unveiling before our eyes. You know, all these announcements.
Yeah,
it's really the beginning of it.
we're about to see tons and tons. I think EA already has one, which we're not going to talk about EA too much because they weren't really involved. But EA has one as well called EA Access, I think, which is on Xbox right now. It's going to be on PlayStation as well.
I think it's on
Uplay, I think
PC
it's going
as
to be
well.
on both of them. Yeah, they're all on PC. I'm sorry, PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. We're going to see it across all three platforms for Uplay Plus, and I know that EA Access is coming to PlayStation if it's not already available. But we're also looking at. I see. Oh yeah. Good to mention. But Uplay Plus, $15 a month. I think they said it's going to come out in September. I'm curious to see it. They didn't give a ton of information, but of course, I feel like these streaming services, they don't really know what to expect from the audience who purchases into it. You know, you're charging $15 a month, but like somebody could just join the service, play the new game to their heart's content, and then just leave if they're offering new games on it.
Yep.
So I think
contracts ever gonna be in
they're
play?
dipping
I
their
don't-
toes in the water. Yeah.
But they did
sorry.
mention it's a part of a partnership, and then they mentioned it is going to be available on Stadia.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
So I don't know where is this partnership kind of going? Is it going to be like Stadia we're not going to delve too
see,
much into
yeah,
it, but I
what-
mean
what's
it's
going on
essentially
with
you're
it.
paying monthly for the system.
It looked like a
basically.
lot of their games are going to be on Stadia as well. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the one that's like helming it's all over all the advertisements for Stadia. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is great for Ubisoft as well. Just,
How are the gaming companies going to compete with? Like, how are they going to feel about that? You know, hey, you're going to
that's
Stadia,
true.
You're going to Stadia.
Honestly, I'd be pissed as a gaming
Yeah.
like as Microsoft or Sony and Ubisoft is partnering with Stadia. It kind of feels like
Kind of like a kick in the back or something.
Yeah. Kick in the ass, spit in the face,
I was
however you
going-
want to look at
I
it.
was going PG with that.
Sorry. EA had something for Fallen Order. I guess it was like 15 minutes of gameplay or something like that for Fallen Order that they showed off,
It
which is
didn't
nice.
look half bad. I mean, it looked decent. I
Yeah.
mean, they've gotten very good when it comes to the visuals
Right.
of it. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Just to cover it, just so that people understand, Fallen Order is coming. I believe Fallen Order is coming out this year, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I believe. I might be incorrect. Anyway, moving on from Ubisoft, unless you had anything else.
No, that was about it.
Nintendo. Finally,
Yes,
last
Nintendo.
one. Nintendo had a just over 40 minutes Nintendo Direct. They showed off a handful of things. It wasn't super enticing to me. I wasn't too excited. Obviously, the biggest thing was the Breath of the Wild sequel that they
Yes.
announced. which oh my god, that was me. Like I don't even know what was bigger for me. It's the toss of a coin. Keanu Reeves talking about 2077 or Nintendo showing that Breath of the Wild has a sequel in production. I'm so pissed that it's in development though.
I know
because they clearly only have a trailer to show. Okay, so they showed a teaser, which means that it's probably farther along.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Metroid fans. It's probably farther along than Metroid Prime 4. Obviously, there's no release date. I'm expecting 2021. I think it's going to take them easily 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Like 3 holidays from now, I guess.
Yeah. It's huge. Build the hype up. I think it's going to be a great game.
It's okay to build up the hype. I know that it's going to be a great game. That's the problem. Like everybody knew Breath of the Wild was going to be a great game. That game was in development forever.
Yeah.
And in consideration, like we usually get Zelda games a little bit faster than that. At least I think. And I'm so stoked for it. I hope they just use the same engine, use the same world, tweak those things a little bit. I mean, obviously, don't use every single same asset, but use a lot of the same stuff. It was a very good engine.
It works,
Exactly. Use it so that we can get the game faster. I don't give a shit about having a new engine. I really don't give a shit about having a new map. I want more Zelda, and I want it now. Just shut up and take my money. So anyways, we got that. That was really exciting. Animal Crossing was revealed to be a 2020 game instead of a 2019 game.
Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise game delays. But that's okay. They showed a little bit of it off. Looks like another Animal Crossing game. If you like that kind of thing, like myself, you're gonna enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
Dragon Quest Definitive Edition. I believe that's coming out in September. Yeah, September 27th. Luigi's Mansion 3. That's exciting. I'm glad that they're coming out with that. And it looks like the most extensive Luigi's Mansion by like a long shot now.
Yeah.
That's super cool too. Did they give a release date on that? I think they did, right? Gave a release date closer. No, I guess just an upcoming look. Yeah. I don't see anything for a release date. They may have. Another thing that they showed off was the Pokemon game, which is exciting. They have 2 other Zelda games. One of them looked like an indie game, and I didn't really get a lot of information on that, but it looks good. And then another one is Link's Awakening, which I think a lot of people are probably excited for. It's not that mainline Zelda game that I'm looking forward to, but I'm still, it's still something that I think a lot of people are looking forward to.
And the 2 more Resident Evil games coming to Switch.
5 and 6, though. That's one thing that I'm tired of.
The ports.
With the Switch is the amount of ports. Except for one, which I'm going to talk about briefly and gush over. Ni no Kuni is an amazing, amazing game. And they're bringing it to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm disappointed because I saw that it's going to be $50. And that game is old. But it was made by Level 5 and Studio Ghibli. Oh my god, that game is so good. I played so much of it on the PS3, never beat it, but I'm not going to pull my PS3 out to play it again. I'm just going to buy it for the Nintendo Switch and really enjoy that game as long. A lot of other games coming. They had Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is coming to the Nintendo Switch September 3rd. So
makes me want to get a Switch, man. I miss my Spyro.
The thing is, I love the Switch because of how portable it is. So like all these games coming to Switch, I kind of don't mind. Oh my god, Witcher 3 coming to Switch.
Yeah.
Didn't think I'd see the day.
Who would have thought? Yeah.
Game looks like shit. Completely playable though. I mean, honestly,
as long as it's playable.
For what it is, because The Witcher is already taxing on the current generation, it's awesome. Yeah. I think that they were able to do this. I think that's really exciting. Another thing though, so that's really cool. Pokemon coming out in November, which is awesome. I think a lot of people are going to be excited. They showed how you could use the Pokeball Plus. I think it's a different thing than people are looking for
in the world.
So Pokeball Plus was for the last Pokemon game, which came out last holiday season for the Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Game's a little different than that. It's a mainline Pokemon game. Looks good though. I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play it yet, so I might have to try to give it a shot. I mean, I saw a lot of content.
I'm
on
looking
it.
forward to it. Yeah, a lot of people are looking forward to it. I don't know. I'm still. It's really tough.
Where's the Detective Pikachu?
They already have one. That was for the 3DS. Yeah, they need a new one. They need a new one so that you'll buy a Switch. And let's see, the Resident Evil games. What was the other game that they were? They had another one that I was really looking forward to. I think I was just... Oh, I'm sorry. No More Heroes 3. Oh, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, no Bayonetta 3. Didn't hear anything about that, which there were so many predictions that Bayonetta 3 was going to be in the show, and it just wasn't, which is kind of BS if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Love me some Bayonetta.
Everybody loves
Don't
me
let
some
my
Bayonetta.
Don't let my wife do that.
Don't let your significant others here. Anyways, well, so overall, how do you feel about the E3 2019? Like,
I mean,
if you could sum it up in, I don't know, one phrase / one word, how would you put it?
Sum it up in one phrase or one word.
I got a word for you.
Okay, everything.
Underwhelming.
Everything other than Microsoft
Maybe
was
the
underwhelming.
maybe the word should be predictable.
Yeah, I'll give it predictable. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Microsoft guy. That's where I kind of hold. So I think Microsoft press conference was predictable, just as well as everything else. Scarlet was a big surprise. I didn't think they were going to release any information about Scarlet yet, just because I know PS5's information wasn't official.
I believe it actually was. I'm pretty sure that the PS5 information is official. Did come from Sony. It came from the guy who's the architect for the PS5.
I stand corrected. That is official. So
I'm pretty sure that that's correct.
Maybe that's why they kind of forced their hand.
They had to do that because they weren't going to be at E3. So obviously, when they did an interview with, I think it was Mark Cerny that released that information. By the way,
it makes sense. Yeah.
They sound super similar. That's another interesting thing to me is that they almost sound like the same console.
Yeah, they're both
I think they have the
AMDs.
same chipset. They're both like projecting the same type of performance. It sounds like
no loading times, or
very little loading times.
That's a huge one.
So
with this gen,
exciting
with the next gen systems.
I've noticed there are a lot of games that have shit loading times, like terrible loading times. But anyways, I was underwhelmed. I thought it was very predictable. It was very underwhelming. But that's kind of what I expected. The next console generation is coming out next holiday. If you're announcing and releasing a bunch of games this year, you're in the wrong boat. So I think that a lot of studios are probably already working on next gen or working on games that are going to be like cross generation. And so we're probably going to see a huge blowout for 2020. Whereas this year was just kind of, it was okay.
I think they're trying to get those games out before the next gen systems get out. They're just trying to shell them out.
Some of them, yeah. But I really feel like we're being held back on for a couple of things.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't know. There are a couple things that I expected that we didn't get. But needless to say, I thought it was okay. I didn't care for Ubisoft's conference. I didn't care for Bethesda's conference. Square Enix did pretty good. I think Nintendo did pretty good. Microsoft was all right. Microsoft, they're pretty ballsy for being like, we're going to E3 when Sony said that they weren't, and then showing up for an hour and a half of nothing. Almost. I mean, their conference didn't suck. I want to clarify.
Yeah.
But they came to the show, and they showed us a lot of stuff that I just felt like wasn't extremely enticing.
Yeah.
And so to tout that they were going to be there, but then they didn't have a lot to show was kind of counterproductive. I don't know. Was there anything that you didn't like or that you were lukewarm on maybe? All the Nintendo Switch ports?
I mean, I kind of wanted to hear more information on what they're doing, what Nintendo's doing with the Switch. I know it's fairly new. I don't know. I just like to know kind of where direction are they trying to go in, I mean, they don't have a huge library for the Switch yet. I think
it's decent, especially for having been out for 2 years. But the only reason it's decent is because there's so many ports for that console. And I think that it's because we didn't get those games on the Wii U, which in a sense is okay.
Yeah,
but I want new games.
That was their store for the Wii and the Wii U. They had a lot of classic games that I don't think they brought to the Switch. None of that stuff.
That's
really
true too. They don't have a ton of classic games on the Switch. That's another lovely thing about Nintendo is that every time you want a classic game, every time you want a virtual console on that system, they always resell you the games again and again and again.
Remastered.
How many people bought Super Mario Brothers over and over again, literally just for the stupid virtual console for that console at the time? I guarantee it was too many. Let's put it that way, too many. Bought it for the Wii, then the Wii U, and then the Nintendo Switch, and in some cases the 3DS, because they do this where they re-release their NES and SNES games on all these consoles over and over again. You got to pay for them every single time.
But to piggyback on one thing I did want to see for Bethesda's conference, I did want to see more Starfield.
And why the hell didn't they bring that?
Yeah, I mean they
teased it with us last year.
It's their next
show
project.
us an actual teaser trailer. this year.
Yeah,
Didn't do it.
exactly. I mean, just a trailer.
I don't even think they talked about it.
They literally just
We
said,
get nothing from the
Elder
Elder Scrolls.
We're
We get
working on
nothing from
Starfield.
Starfield.
Here's Fallout 76.
Yeah, and now introducing an hour of gameplay for Fallout 76. I feel like that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you there. I wanted to see more from Microsoft with their... I don't even care if it wasn't games that were coming out right now. I wanted to see more from Microsoft in terms of what their new first-party studios are doing. Those studios that they purchased.
Yeah,
like,
they bought a whole bunch of studios.
If you remember at 2018 E3, I believe, EA came out and they showed off like all the Star Wars games they were working on in these tiny snippets, barely anything. I hate EA, so I don't care that they did that. But
I think a lot of other viewers and
probably
listeners actually
agree
feel
with
your-
that. Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't care that they did that, but I would have loved to have seen that from Microsoft with their first party studios. Like, this is our first party studio here. This is what this is doing. This is what this is doing. Maybe we don't have gameplay to show. Maybe we only have concept art. Maybe we don't even have concept art. Maybe all they can say is like, we're working on a really fascinating project that we're sure you're gonna love.
Yeah.
It's anything like that.
I mean,
I wanted to see Fable 4 or like, making a new Fable game. Whatever that may have been.
I feel like it's in development, man. I mean, Fable's kind of been there since the beginning.
That's
for
what people
Xbox,
say,
you know?
and then like I just feel like maybe not, because it's been years and they're not showing us anything, and they closed the studio that made it, Lionhead, which is the biggest disappointment as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, I'm sorry, pushing along here. Do you think 2020 is going to be any better? Like, are you looking at 2020 as a much bigger year?
I mean, if Microsoft's
I
planning to
expect-
launch holiday 2020, they have
They
to go
have
all
to
in.
show
They have to
they'll
go
show
all
the
in.
console
Yeah.
off. Absolutely, they'll probably show the console off early, honestly.
Yeah,
Which will
And-
be exciting.
And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation maybe blew off next year. Maybe they'll do their own
I don't think so.
conference.
They do their own conference. They have PSX
Mm-hmm.
2019. Shout out if you want us to go there. We want us to go there. If only. But anyways, yeah, I would love to go to one of those conferences. They do the PSX. They've been doing it for a few years now, I think, since I want to say it was 2017. Might have been earlier than that. I'm probably way off.
And just a heads up, I'm very newly into the Sony stuff. I was very pro Microsoft.
He just got a PlayStation
Yes.
4 this year, and I just got an Xbox One this year. Beginning of the year, so we're new in these other ecosystems. that
One
we
of our
usually not a part
weaknesses
of.
is another one of our strengths. Basically.
Exactly. Yes, my weakness is a strength. Anyhow, I think 2020 is going to be better too.
Yeah.
I think Sony's going to be there, but I think that Sony's probably going to reveal their PlayStation 5, or if that's what they're going to call it. Presumably they will. I think they're going to reveal the PlayStation 5 at PSX. I think they're going to have a lot of games to showcase there, and then they're going to show more at E3 2020. I do expect them to show up there.
Yeah.
I think that they held off this year for
It
a
was a
handful
bold
of
move,
reasons.
man.
Well,
It was very bold.
I guess we may as well go over that next. Is Sony held off this year, and I think that it was absolutely a bold move. I believe it was the first time they held off in like 20 years, which is shocking.
Yeah, very shocking.
But they had like last year they showed us all the games that we already saw from 2017, I think, and they don't really have anything new to show. They dropped a bunch of trailers. We should talk about that in a second, but they didn't have a conference. And I think it makes sense. It probably would have cost them money. I don't think it would have earned them any like extra game sales, and I don't think they would have had anything truly to reveal.
Yeah.
Other than a bunch of third-party stuff, kind of what Microsoft really did.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that they didn't go. And they obviously couldn't show off the system 18 months before it's coming out.
Yeah.
It's things like that, that makes sense to me. Maybe more like 17, 16 months before it's coming out. That's my prediction. I don't really know.
Yeah.
As much as it looks like and sounds like I work at Sony, I don't. I work for a company that has nothing to do with video games. But in any case, I think they'll be there next year. I think it's going to be a big blowout. I think Microsoft is going to have a lot to show for the next generation. I think Sony's going to have a lot to show for the next generation. I think we'll be floored at next year's E3. That's the only thing exciting about 2019 is that it was so predictable and lackluster. In my opinion, like again, there were the highlights. And, this wasn't the worst E3. Granted,
No,
it was
it
not
wasn't,
the worst
yeah.
E3. I think it was very serviceable, and I was still happy with a lot that I saw. But because it was not one of those big blowout E3s, and it was very mellow, like in terms of like the announcements we saw and things like that, and like we're mostly getting release dates for things we already know are coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think next year is going to be just a blowout. Like 2020 is going to be amazing.
Yeah, this year was just kind of like, it's an E3 happening. Let's just, let's give them
time,
something.
Time to show up. Yeah, let's get ready to show up. Everybody knows that C's get degrees. As long as we get a C+ for this conference, we're in good shape.
Yeah, I almost went. I almost went to it.
I would have loved to have gone too.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe next year. That'd be exciting to go next year.
Yeah.
If we're still doing this, if we even do this again next week.
Yeah.
If we're still doing this, it'd be awesome to go next year, especially since it's open to the public. It'd be great to go experience it firsthand, and then film a podcast in a hotel room.
Sounds good to me.
Sit down, set up a table. Anyways, so yes, PlayStation wasn't there. That's the shocking thing, though, is that they still had their days of play sale, just so that everybody knows. So it still looks like 33. And then now they dropped a bunch of trailers. I think they were, in fact, I believe Sony was the one that released the trailer that had the release date for Final Fantasy VII, like as if in an E3 move. It was ballsy, man. It was ballsy. Anyways, but yeah, Sony still dropped a lot of trailers. They still showed off some good stuff. They announced, they knew what they were doing. They were like, Death Stranding's coming out this year, just in case anybody's curious. Of course, stealing the show before we even get to E3.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are interested in that and what Kojima's doing, director of the game. And, so it still felt a lot like they were there, almost in a sense. It's just that they didn't have a conference, even though they weren't there. They just released a bunch of trailers. They did that intentionally, of course. But anyways, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say in regards to Sony, unless you had anything to add.
Honestly, I mean, we're all kind of just looking to see what they're going to do in 2020. I mean...
I feel like that's true for almost all of these. Yeah, these studios, all these
this is the
companies.
Build-up, this is the all right.
I really agree.
Let's
see what we got next year, you guys.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's show off everything you guys have already seen,
yeah,
and then let's see what we got next year. So yeah, I'm excited for next year, but who knows? I think it'll be a big year, but this year was okay. Anyways, lastly, what did you expect to see and not?
I really expected to see this might be a little bit of an overshot, just because I expect, when I think of E3, I think of like, who's gonna drop the bombshell, like who's
that's
gonna
the point.
Give me,
that's the point of E3. You want to be dropping bombshells.
I was expecting for Bethesda at least, man. Starfield was my biggest one. I was really
and that's a huge disappointment. I think a lot of people probably expected Starfield, got nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
you got sent home kicking rocks.
Like nothing. Come on, like just.
I know, no teaser, no nothing, and you know what? It makes me question like how far along they are in development with that game. Honestly, like that's all it's doing. I did not expect at all for them to announce the Breath of the Wild sequel, so I almost got everything that I wanted with that. To tell you the truth, I didn't expect Halo to be a holiday 2020. I thought it was gonna be earlier. I didn't expect for Cyberpunk 2077 to be this generation, which is shocking. So I was kind of excited for that. I don't know if there's anything that I didn't see that I wanted. Metroid Prime 4, actually, I thought we would see a little bit from that, and we didn't, which is a little bit of a disappointment to me, but I know it's coming. I'm trying to think anything else. Oh my god. I don't know if it's a rumor. I don't even know why this came to mind. I want desperately. So Joker from Persona 5 was in Smash Brothers Ultimate, which led me to believe, and probably others, that Persona 5, the Royale, which is coming to PlayStation 4, mind you, Persona 5, the Royale, would maybe come to Switch. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I think even when they were like, we have one last thing to show you, and then they showed the Zelda thing, I was expecting it to be the Persona 5, the Royale. And I'm so heartbroken that it's not coming. A game I've already played.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
But I haven't played the Royale,
obviously,
yeah. So I guess I'll just be playing on PlayStation. Thanks a lot, Nintendo, for not making that happen. And Shin Megami Tensei, I think it's Shin Megami Tensei... The next Shin Megami... I don't even know. I don't want to say it because I don't know which number we're on. Shin Megami Tensei, the next one, they announced that shit in 2017. Before the Switch even came out. I think, or like at the Switch's launch event or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, before it even came out, like before the launch, and when they like showcased Breath of the Wild and stuff a bunch. Screw you guys for not having anything else to show. By the way, I love Atlas, and I really want that game to come out. So this is coming from love. It's hate from love. Yeah. Okay.
Like
so I want it so bad. I want it so bad. I just want it so bad. I'm afraid I just want it too much.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. I really want to see that game. Anyways,
There was one thing I wanted to see that I didn't see. I know it doesn't really play into the typical, Microsoft, Nintendo kind of press conferences, but I kind of wanted to see one of these studios at least promote some VR content. I mean, just kind
that
of
would have
toss
been
it
cool.
out there.
Yeah.
I
think we'll
have
probably
high
see it
hopes.
for the next generation. Honestly, I wanted to see. It's only been 2 years, so I shouldn't even say this. I wanted to
it's
see an
fairly
upgrade
new,
to the
yeah.
Switch, though. Like I wanted to see like a Switch Pro that could compete more with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Maybe probably not the Pro or the Xbox One X at all. Maybe we'll see something like that next year. I don't know. Next year looks like it might be a better year. But funny enough, I think it's wrap up time. I liked it. I really was excited to see some of the stuff we saw. Still felt like it was a little underwhelming and predictable, but overall, I
Pretty
still enjoy
satisfied.
E3. It's still one of those conferences that I think, even though it's been winding down gradually, 2018 and 2019 together have been kind of like a gradual wind down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
But I think 2020 is gonna be a blowout. I still stand by that. But anyways, excited to see what comes next. And
Definitely.
thank you all very much for joining us for our very
thank
first
you.
podcast. It's exciting for us. We really don't know where it's going to go, to tell you the truth. We don't even know what platforms we're planning on putting it on. We want to put it on as many things as we can.
Yeah, definitely.
Provided you can leave comments, please do so. We'd be excited to see them. Constructive criticism is appreciated, and rude comments will still be read. So if you want to put them in, who cares? It's all your opinion anyway. If you don't like us, you don't like us. If you do, that's phenomenal, and we'd love for you to join us again next time we have one. I think we're going to shoot for once a week. Don't hold us to it. We will develop a schedule as we roll along.
Yeah, I like it. I know we have some really good content coming up in the next coming weeks.
We have some good plans hitting. Yeah. We really got some stuff to talk about, I think, and we'll be excited to have you guys join us again, hopefully next week.
Yeah, sounds good to me. It was definitely great talking about all this. We
what
love,
a roller
we love
coaster of
this.
emotions. Yeah, no, it's phenomenal to talk about. We'd love to talk about video games, and hopefully at some point we could also talk about some technology, as it's aptly put in our name, provided we feel comfortable naming the podcast that and we don't change things. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope to see you again soon.
See you next time.